stays at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick, it's always the 49ers way. From off-season to game day, yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. We're going to be talking all about the news and some other stuff. But this is the Seahawks Aftermath. There's a lot of things that have happened from this game.
There really are. There's a ton of things. Some funny things.
Plethora of things,
hysterical things as well. If you need a laugh in your life, if you need a good chuckle, a good giggle, any of those types of laughing, a good Kyle Shanahan, whatever that is. Heavy breathing. Whatever it is, the chuckle.
It's pretty wonderful.
If you need something like that in your life, head over to Patreon and check out Big Yikes because you're gonna get it because it's good stuff this week. It's high quality. The people, the doubters, and the less than faithful are out in full force again because they have a reason to. Because the 49ers have lost a football game and dropped to 6-6 on the season. How dare they? How dare they do that, Ant? I can't believe that they would do that to us.
If you don't win them all, you deserve to be gone.
Not only you deserve to be thrown to the pit of Tartarus, Ant.
Ooh,
the pit of Tartarus.
I don't even know what the pit of Tartarus is.
Greek mythology for your behind.
Okay, well, it sounded like tartar sauce, which made me think of Arby's because they have the meats.
They do have the meats, and no one knows that better than former 49ers head coach Jim Tomasula, who's a fan of the meat sweats.
You wonder why he's never worked that into like some sort of
I don't know why that
a marketing deal.
Because of the meat sweats, you think Arby's would have like made him the spokesperson.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine him like walking with a towel around his neck, no shirt on, coming out of like a locker room, and he's just like,
he ruined it.
After a nice workout, I'd like to go to Arby's because they have the meats.
Listen, it was great up until you said without a shirt off and everything cool that we were talking about. You wrecked it.
Yeah, because you went full Ron Jeremy in your mind. That's why.
No, I didn't go Ron Jeremy, but I went meat sweats Tomasula walking out with his little towel and his slick back hair, farting while he walks every step.
Wow.
He farted in the press conference, so I'm just.
You took it to a whole nother level.
My apologies. Maybe I crossed the line, and maybe I crossed the line.
I never do that.
No, you've never done it at all whatsoever. But look, we got injury updates to get to. Important information for all of you. A couple of the Cutback crew members were really interested about, Jeff Wilson Jr., what's going on with him, Emmanuel Mosley, and an update with his ankle. And there's an update on Emmanuel Mosley's ankle. It's not a great update. It's a pretty crappy update. It's a high ankle sprain.
Mm-hmm.
So that means he's going to be missing time, which means we're now relying on cornerback one Josh Norman.
You said quarterback one Josh Norman with a straight face. Well done. Well done, sir.
I tried.
Yeah, that's it's a scary proposition now with this cornerback room.
Yeah,
they're gonna have to find ways to disguise, what their coverages are to protect these guys. But it does present a big question. Emmanuel Mosley is probably gonna be out a few weeks now. So who is going to start opposite of Josh Norman? I don't think we actually have a cornerback one at this point. We just have some cornerbacks.
Some guys.
It's Josh Norman who can create turnovers. And also create penalties, and he's got that going for him. And then you've got on the other side, who's it going to be? Because we saw Deebo Lenore come in this football game and have some struggles. Whether that was him just being thrown to the wolves in that football game, or if it was him still learning and learning what he has to do and where he's supposed to be. I don't know for sure. But we saw that Dante Johnson came in, and I thought that he played pretty well. I mean, I know everyone's very critical of the hit that he had. Where K'Wan Williams is trying to bring the guy down, and he comes in and tries to hit the guy with the shoulder in the chest and grazes his face mask, and you get the helmet penalty, helmet to helmet. I'm not going to be hating on him for that. He did come up with a fumble recovery at the goal line, which I love. So that's Dante Johnson out there making some plays, but we'll see if he's the guy that they elect to go with on the outside, or if it's Deebo Lenore, or Ambry Thomas. He's been a guy that's been out there and been getting some praise from Kyle Shanahan over the last few weeks about his improvement. At what point, do these rookies, step in and fill the role? I'm not sure. But right now, that cornerback room, we knew it was somewhat of a weakness coming into the season. You felt comfortable with Verrett and Mosley. But once you get past those guys, and I think this is the same with every roster, right? Once you get past that first two guys, it puts you in a world of hurt. There's just not a lot of great corners out there. It's usually one great one on your team and then some other dudes. And unfortunately, right now, we're in the other dudes.
Yeah, we're deep into the other dudes now, and they're not playing very well. The frustrating part, I guess, is that, Demo was supposed to be the guy behind, E-Man and Josh Norman, and people keep clamoring and clamoring and clamoring. It's the funniest thing, right? You get this loss, and some things happen this weekend on Sunday, and you have people clamoring again for Trey Lance because, we can't enjoy success of this team even when they play bad and they almost win a football game. You can't enjoy those things, and you got to start clamoring for the things you don't have. But no one is saying anything about Deommodore Lenoir needing to be the guy because everyone saw what happened and how much he struggled and how not ready he is. And so you can't make those comments and those claims, but we may need him to step up in a big way because I think you're right. I think it's going to be the hot hand at the cornerback position. Who are the guys that are playing the best? Who are the guys that are playing the most consistent? Josh Norman, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get hands stuff. You're going to get some turnovers. You're going to see him make some great plays, and you're also going to see him give up some plays. So limiting those. He's going to give up a couple of games. He's going to have some missed tackles. So that's going to happen. So if you're the 49ers defense, keep yourself out of those positions as much as you can. And when you're in those positions, as a fan, you got to expect a couple that are going to be given up. But hopefully your defense is able to do enough to keep the score in that 20-point range for teams or even lower than that. Because if you can, this 49ers offense, even on a bad day like this past Sunday, it should have put up 30-plus points. I mean, they really should have. And they almost did. So even on a bad day for the 49ers offense in which they're sloppy, they don't take care of the football, and can't run the ball as effectively as you'd like, they're still going to put up points. They're still going to give you an opportunity and a chance to win football games. But not having E-Man is a crushing blow right now with the names that you have available, whether that's Ambry Thomas, whether it's Deommodore Lenoir, or whether it's Dante Johnson there on the outside, Ant. It's not fun. And you know what else is not fun, Ant? Is the fact that Jeff Wilson Jr., he was having a little bit of some knee issues, I think pregame, wasn't it, during warmups? And then he had the run, and it kind of flared up and had some knee issues and some stuff there. But it looks like he's going to be good to go this week for Kyle Shanahan. They're going to give him a run. He's going to be all right. But Elijah Mitchell is in concussion protocol.
Yeah.
So that isn't good as well. Talk about a blow to your running game and an identity of your offense. Are you worried about that? Are you worried about it? He cleared concussion protocol after the hit. He cleared concussion protocol after the game, and this wasn't a team doctor. This was a third party, non-affiliated with either team, representative of the league doctor that cleared him for both. He goes to sleep, wakes up the next day. He's got concussion symptoms, and he's in concussion protocol. If he can't go against the Bengals, is this a big concern?
Let me kick right back to the cornerbacks for 1 second.
Go ahead.
I don't think it's as big a concern as a lot of people think. It just changes the way you have to play defense. Because the 49ers were already going to have to double Jamar Chase.
Accurate.
So you go in there, and it's either Dante Johnson, Deommodore Lenoir, and then probably Jimmy Ward over the top.
Probably.
So you're going to go ahead and take him away. And Jimmy Ward is very good at coverage.
True.
T. Higgins is going to get covered by
Josh Norman.
It's more than likely. And you're going to have to give him help at times, but I think this particular matchup still affords them the option to cover it.
Question for you then, and before we get back to the Elijah Mitchell situation, could you see a situation again where you see Josh Norman following?
Yeah, you could. You could see him following.
Okay.
Because it would make sense, right? As you could double there. Because I don't think you really want Higgins matched up against Deommodore Lenoir, for instance, because of the height difference.
It's drastic.
There's a big length. If it's the Dante Johnson, then you could go that route, right? You could put Dante Johnson out there running cover 3 against Higgins. Even though Higgins has the height on him, he's still a 6'2" cornerback. So it's a different way to play. And he's not going to burn Dante Johnson with his speed. The speed's not there. So the way you play him is completely different. But yeah, you could see Josh Norman going, traveling with. I would rather see them with one of these younger guys, either Lenoir or I guess the seasoned veteran Dante Johnson on Chase, though. And then, allow the safety help over the top. But it is going to change it a little bit on how they approach. But I don't think they're, going to be dead because of it, because we have such good safety play. If we didn't have such good safety play, I'd be concerned. And I'd also be concerned if Cincy wasn't so young. They're still young, so you can go, get after it a little bit. Now back to Elijah Mitchell and the concussion issue. I think it is a worry. But the fact that he passed those 2 tests by a third party, it gives me optimism that maybe this was kind of a mild concussion and that he'll be able to respond as the week progresses and be in the right position to get cleared through protocol. It's always a tough one, though. Marcel Harris pushed it to the end, and he wasn't able to get cleared last week.
True.
So I'm hopeful that Elijah Mitchell can get cleared. But the 49ers might have to address this situation because Jeff Wilson Jr. was struggling with the knee. And Jeff Wilson Jr. was basically just an emergency running back in that game. So can you go into a football game having JaMychal Hasty carry the brunt of the carries with Jeff Wilson Jr. being an emergency guy. I don't think so.
No.
I don't think JaMychal Hasty has proven that he can go out there and hold up to the contact, hold up to the physicality that's going to be needed, and you need to run the football against Cincinnati. So I think that they're going to have to address this running back position. And in which way, I don't know. They've had plenty of guys that they've had their hands on already at some point this season, whether they've signed them off practice squads or brought them into their practice squad. So, Alex, I know we're going to go over some of these names and just see, who is somebody that you think the 49ers might bring in as a possibility to at least give them some insurances in case Elijah Mitchell isn't ready to go.
I've not been on this train at all this year, and you know this. This has not been something that I wanted to do, but we're at a point now with the amount of injuries that have stacked up, the identity of this team being wanting to be a run-heavy team, and not needing. This isn't long-term, right? If this was long-term, we got another whole other set of issues here and things to discuss. But it's not a long-term thing. Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley is a name that kind of makes sense. It kind of works from a McVay system, and that's where he had most of his success was in a McVay system. He spent time in Atlanta. I know he's got the knee issues and the knee stuff, and that's great, and that's bad. Well, not great. It's bad, but we don't have to manage this. We need literally 2 to 3 weeks of Todd Gurley. I have to believe that we could manage Todd Gurley for 3 weeks. Give him a nice 15, maybe if you need 20 carries, but 15 carry workload for him and take some of the pressure off of Elijah Mitchell, let him get healthy, or take some of the pressure off JaMychal Hasty and Jeff Wilson. I think it's a name that makes sense. It's a name that it's a guy who wants to be in San Francisco and wants to be in a Kyle Shanahan system. He's been dealing with the knee stuff, but he's been doing nothing other than training. He hasn't been taking a beating. This would be a short-term signing that would make a lot of sense for the 49ers. That isn't going to break the bank. The only other name that I can think of that would make sense right now, oh man, that's tough. In terms of actually being able to carry a load, based on the list we have, I don't know if there's another name. I really don't. Maybe Brian Hill, who spent some time. I know he spent some time in Atlanta as well. Where are you at with this? Who is a name that you think could be an option for the 49ers?
I don't hate your idea of bringing in Todd Gurley, and here's why. Because I think Seattle just laid out a blueprint for how you could handle this with Adrian Peterson.
True.
They signed him to the practice squad and then elevated him from the practice squad to play. So he's making the practice squad money.
Yep.
They know that if they elevate him twice, they're going to have to add him to the active roster. This could be a 1-week thing for Todd Gurley. If Todd Gurley was willing to go into the practice squad, you tell him, hey, prove that you belong on this active roster. We keep having problems with running backs anyways. Maybe you can get to the point where you're activated and we can use you in that way. That would make sense if they were able to go that way. I don't know if they're going to. I don't know how they're going to approach this. I would guess they're going to add someone to the practice squad and then just elevate them. That's the cheaper route to go, as they have been in full-fledged save money route. So if Todd Gurley wants to make the league minimum, they're not going to be able to do that. They're not going to want to pay him that amount of money, especially because it could be a 1-week or 2-week rental. So you start looking at the other guys that are on there that are possibilities. And he's, Chris Thompson was in our practice squad before. Kerryon Johnson was on our practice squad before. I think those are 2 guys that are options that the 49ers could bring in. They're a phone call away. They already have played in your system and have some understanding of what is going on. Maybe a TJ Yeldon, something of that nature. But other than that, I don't think there's there are other options, but guys that would actually be able to go onto your practice squad and then you use on your roster, is kind of few and far between.
It's extremely few and far between. There's also Alfred Morris that you could consider a guy who's played in the system before.
Right.
So you could bring him in and he could carry the load and carry the rock for a little bit, and he also understands the system. Ito Smith is another one who spent time in Minnesota. He's also spent time with the Atlanta Falcons. So that is also a possibility. A guy who's going to be somewhat familiar with the system there and what they did with him. But there really isn't a lot of names right now. There's not a lot of available names out there. And because there's not a lot of available names out there, Ant, it starts making it very, very tough in terms of who and what you could do. There's always Frank Gore. There's always that option. But you know what you're going to get with Frank Gore. You're going to get 2.5, 3 yards a carry if you're lucky. He's healthy. He usually stays healthy. But he's been training for boxing. He hasn't been training for football.
I think they also don't want to do that to Frank.
I wouldn't want to.
They don't want to bring Frank in for
one game,
for one game or 2 games, and that's it.
Yeah.
If they were going to sign Frank, they'd want him to be on the roster for the rest of the season. That's how much respect they have for Frank Gore in his Hall of Fame career.
Yep.
Frank came out last week and said the comments that basically he would come back, but it would be the week before the Super Bowl. He wants to be back for 1 week. That's it. And I think he's even started to make his process where he wants to transition in the 49ers front office. And since that is what Frank Gore is looking at, I think he's done playing football. Now, he said he's always ready. So I think if the 49ers called him, I do think he would 100% be willing to do, that. But you're right, he has a celebrity boxing thing coming up in just a couple weeks.
It is. It's right, literally right around the corner.
Yeah, so I think this would be an interesting decision for him. But I don't know what the 49ers are going to do. And I don't think Frank is the guy they call because of the respect level for Frank.
I agree with you on that. I think that's why that's the last name we brought up on that list, because it's the one that just doesn't make sense right now. It really doesn't. He's got things going on. There's a history with Frank Gore. There's respect for Frank Gore. It's just tough. It's too tough to want to bring him in and use him in that way.
What about Marshawn Lynch? We did not bring him up even though he's retired.
I just don't see it, dude. I don't see it. I don't think he's in shape. I don't think he's thought about playing football.
Does he have to be in shape? I mean, he's a beast mode.
Yes, he has to be in shape.
He can't come in and carry 10 times, 10 physical runs.
He can. It doesn't mean it's going to go well. He just end up getting hurt.
I mean, he didn't get hurt when he played for Seattle in 2019.
I'm aware, but he was also coming off of, not really being retired.
Oh, he was retired. He hadn't played in
He hadn't played, but he was still working out.
He came in for the end of the year.
He was doing something. He didn't come in and look out of shape.
Well, he's Subway and Skittles now. I mean, he's got to be in shape. So you don't think that's a possibility?
No, I don't. I don't think it's a possibility at all.
All right. So,
I wouldn't even entertain it personally.
Wow. I would entertain it 100% if Marshawn Lynch was interested in coming in.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Not at this point.
I think if you're ever even thinking about Frank Gore, you also would think about Marshawn Lynch, especially for a 1 or 2 week rental.
I'm not there.
I just think
it doesn't move my needle. No, I actually love Beast Mode.
Hey,
I love Beast Mode.
You don't sound like it.
Oh, dude, I love Beast Mode. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Some of the more.
So Adrian Peterson can still do it, but not.
Well, Adrian Peterson also has been.
Do you know Marshawn Lynch isn't working out?
I don't think he is.
I
haven't seen anything because I've tried looking it up. I haven't seen him doing anything. I don't see him talking about doing anything.
So if you don't post on social media,
no, it's not that.
Real.
But you would think there'd be something, right? Like still got it. Like those little posts, like even if it's just jokingly, like T.O. You know that T.O. is still doing things, even though T.O.'s not getting signed anywhere. Because T.O. every once in a while just let something, still got it, still running hard, still doing that, whatever it is. Like those things.
That's not who Marshawn is.
I'm aware that's not who Marshawn is, but I'm saying typically you post those types of things at some point, like even if it's just jokingly. There's no reports of him working out. There's no reports of him doing anything.
Hurt either. He never posts on social media either.
It's true. He's also never on the football field.
I just want Marshawn Lynch to come back.
Listen, I'm not saying
49ers. It's the ultimate burn to the Seahawks.
I am not saying that it wouldn't be, or that it wouldn't be hilarious.
Skittles and Kittles. Come on.
Skittles and Kittles. I know you really want this. I'm not.
Do I want it, or am I just completely annoying you?
Possibly both.
100%. It's a little bit better now.
Good opportunity.
I think the only reason I think that if he's in shape, it's at least worth a phone call.
If he's in shape, yes.
Yeah.
But he has to be in shape.
100%. You're not bringing him in if he's not in shape. I just think he's typically always in shape. Stays ready, so he ain't got to get ready.
Maybe.
Yeah.
There's a good chance.
But, I mean, there's not a lot of running back options.
No, there's really not.
I mean, if I had to guess, I would say it would probably be Chris Thompson and Kerryon Johnson that are the most...
Those are the most likely.
Most likely, because they've already been on the practice squad.
I think there's a phone call coming to Todd Gurley.
You think so?
I think so. I think you need to explore the option.
I think it's interesting that no one has signed him yet.
I actually don't.
Really?
I don't.
Devontae Freeman got signed.
Le'Veon
Bell got signed, but no Todd Gurley.
Yeah, because Devontae Freeman and Le'Veon Bell don't have chronic knee issues.
True.
That's what it is. It's the chronic knee, dude. Everyone just doesn't want to touch it.
Yeah.
If the Baltimore Ravens are one more injury away to one of those running backs, though, from calling Todd Gurley, I can promise you that. So if you're the 49ers, just pick up the phone. Just ask.
Yeah.
Just talk to him. You might as well. You don't have anything to lose.
Yeah.
You really don't. You're already running around with peanuts.
Yeah.
Literally peanuts.
Is there any cornerbacks you would bring in?
Oh boy, that's an interesting list. That's a very interesting list of names, because this is something else you got to talk about. Because if you're not comfortable with the names you have with Emmanuel Mosley dealing with the high ankle, or even just
feel you need more depth.
True, and you can't put Mosley on IR, can you? Because he started off the year on IR, didn't he?
Did he start on IR or did he start on?
I think he started on IR.
Yeah, then you can't put him on IR.
Oh,
so
yikes!
You're probably not even going to be able to bring a cornerback.
You might not be able to, but if you could, Ant,
it depends. They could put somebody else on IR.
That's true.
And make a roster spot.
They could do that. So there's always Brian Allen. He's always available. I'm looking at this list that we have here, and number one, it's not a good list. There's not a lot of good names. Tremaine Brock is a name that stands out as a guy who's been in San Francisco before. There's also Quentin Dunbar.
Yeah,
as a possibility. I'm seeing here also DJ Hayden. That's an interesting one.
Yeah,
because he's played a lot of football in the NFL. I mean, there's not a whole lot. Alexander Myers, I know, is on this list.
All the guys who played for the Niners.
Literally all the guys who played for the Niners are available. Adonis Alexander as well. Prince Amukamara. There's names.
Yeah, there's all the Niners guys.
B.W. Webb. Devontae Harris isn't, obviously. But
Drake Kirkpatrick.
Drake Kirkpatrick still is. Ken Webster still is. Mark Fields still is. So there's a lot of names. There's a lot of possible guys. How do you feel about it? Do any of those names move the needle more for you than Diamador Lenore or Dante Johnson?
No, not as far as a starter. I'm just talking for depth. You might need someone for special teams. If one of these guys are elevating to starter, they might not play as much on special teams. You're going to need help. You might need to bring someone in. To me, the guys who have been in San Francisco this year make the most sense.
Agreed with you on that.
Because they
already know the system.
They know the system and all that. So one of them coming in, even if it's a practice squad guy that they can elevate and have active for the game, makes sense to me. So one of those guys is likely, even though they made practice squad moves and none of those guys were the practice squad moves, maybe those moves are going to come Tuesday or Wednesday.
That very well could be the case, and there were a lot of practice squad moves. And before we get to those practice squad moves, though, I want to remind the Cutback crew of two things. Actually,
two things.
Yeah, two things. Not remind. One is a reminder, and the other one is just other information. The reminder is make sure you subscribe if you haven't already and hit that like button.
Please do.
To join the Cutback crew, become a member of the Cutback crew as well. You'll get all sorts of daily video content and also sweet merch over at the 49ers Cutback shop. So don't miss out on any of that.
Yeah, like Rich Rivas.
Yeah, no, Rich Rivas is doing his thing.
Yeah,
he's the newest member of the Cutback crew, man.
It's true.
There's two other injury updates that we need to talk about before we move on to practice squad moves.
Yeah, we did miss a couple.
Deebo Samuel and Fred Warner.
Kind of important.
Fred Warner is supposed to be back starting Wednesday at practice. Apparently going to be good to go, which is a positive thing for the 49ers. And Deebo Samuel right now is day to day. Also a positive thing for the 49ers. With everything that's going on now, with the injuries at the cornerback position, injuries at the running back position, is Deebo going this week? Especially with the injuries at the running back position with Jeff Wilson Jr. and with Elijah Mitchell. Does Deebo need to play Sunday?
I don't think he needs to. I think they're going to address this the same way they would in any situation. Do they want to win the football game? Yes. Do they wish they had all their players out there? Yes. But you're not going to risk losing Deebo Samuel for multiple weeks if he's not ready to go. If he's ready to go, he's going to play. And could they use him out there? 100%. He changes the offense. He makes this offense go from a 24-point a game to over 30-point a game. That's just the way he is. He's dynamic. The way he can change this run game, and he's a big reason why the 49ers might not need very many running backs if he's playing.
Also true.
However, you want him healthy if he's going to take on that kind of workload. So I think that it's something that you're going to just play it by ear. You're going to approach it completely separate from what your team ultimately needs because you need that player in the long run. Right now you're sitting in a good location as far as a situation where you can make the playoffs. So you have to think about the long term, and the long term is Deebo Samuel in the playoffs. You have to believe that you can beat a team like Cincinnati without Deebo Samuel, even though it'll be more difficult. They should have beat Seattle without Deebo Samuel.
True.
But they shot themselves in the foot, didn't play well, and struggled on special teams. So they need to handle their business this week, and I think it would be important to have Fred and Deebo. It appears Fred's going to be back. It appears Fred came really close to playing against Seattle. But they did a good job and made sure they held him out so that way he would be healthy and ready to go this week. So when he's out there, that's going to be nice. But yeah, hopefully we get them both back. I'm hoping for Deebo to be ready, but if he's not, I'm okay waiting too because I want to make sure we have him for this into the stretch run.
That's true. It's very true. And here's the good news for the 49ers. Is Deebo being a day-to-day right now is a positive for a few reasons. But number one being when you have a groin situation, the minute you get to that day-to-day area is where you're close. don't forget when Dre Greenlaw was day-to-day, it was he only sat out one more week before he was good to go and came back onto the field for the 49ers. Now, he did re-aggravate and re-injure it, but all signs, he was cleared by doctors. All signs were pointing to him being okay. When you have surgery, though, things of that nature, sometimes it takes a little bit longer to recover than you anticipate or than necessarily you feel your body is wherever it's at. Debo's not having surgery. He's not coming off of surgery. He's not even coming off of a strain or a pull. He's coming off of tightness. That extended rest time that he's had, I think he may get it all the way through until Friday. I mean, in all honesty, we could see Debo not practicing all the way until we get to Friday. This extended rest time for him is essentially additional bye week is what he's getting. Could be enough to get him over the hump. So him being day-to-day is a positive thing. Fred Warner being expected back Wednesday and as close as it seems like it was now Sunday. These are all great things for the 49ers. Defensively, against a team that likes to run the football with Joe Mixon. Also, just being able to cover tight ends in space and things of that nature makes your life a little bit easier for your D'Amico Ryans. And then Deebo Samuel is, like you said, you can't really replace that, what he does, what he is to this offense. The points that he puts up, the ability to move the chains, the extra piece. It makes life easier for Brandon Ayuk. It makes it easier for George Kittle. It makes it easier for the run game, man. It truly does, because you can load the box up, but now you're playing one-on-one with Deebo out there in space, and Deebo's going to win. So those things are all good things for the 49ers. But people can't forget that, again, anyone feeling like, here come the injuries, again, they're mounting for the 49ers. The Bengals are in the same boat. They're dealing with a lot of things right now as well, whether it's Burrow's dislocated finger, and he's day-to-day. They don't know where he's at. He's day-to-day. Two of their starting offensive linemen are considered day-to-day with low ankle sprains. Again, no guarantee that those guys are going to be going. Chidobe Awuzie, one of their starting corners, missed time on Sunday. He's got a foot injury that he's working through right now. He's considered day-to-day as well. And then also their linebacker, Logan Wilson, he's going to be out for at least this game, if not longer. So there are injuries on both sides of the football here that are going to have big impacts for both teams. So yes, the 49ers dealing with some things in certain areas. Yeah, it sucks. It's unfortunate, but both teams are. It's not an excuse to not be able to go out and perform. And that's why if you're Kyle Shanahan, like you talked about, Ant, you're not going to make necessarily the rash decision of, hey, we need Debo for this game. You need Debo for the long stretch. You want to make the playoffs and make a run, you need Debo. If you put Debo out too early, you don't have Debo for the long stretch in the long run. And I don't think anybody believes that the 49ers can win a Super Bowl if Debo Samuel's on the sideline right
now. No, I don't think anyone actually thinks that. The other thing that we got to remember is we're getting really close to D Ford's 21-day window being up.
Ooh, that's right.
The 49ers are going to have to make a decision on D Ford. Is he going to be activated and back this season, or are they going to put him back on the IR and end his season? That's a big decision that's going to be coming forth. If I had to guess, they're going to put him on the active roster and then just wait it out a little bit and see if he can get back. But another roster spot that's going to be taken. So will he be back? That's something to watch over the next few days to see if this is the week he comes back. I don't know exactly when that 21-day window is up, but I know we're nearing it.
We're getting close. I think we actually got one more week. I think next week is the finale.
I thought he was activated the same day, or I thought they opened the window the same day Greenlaw did. That was over 2 weeks ago.
And then it's this week. Then it's this week and it's close. Oh my.
Yeah.
That'll be an interesting thing to watch all week long to see what happens and where that goes. Because that's either the end of D Ford for the year, or it's, D Ford being activated and we see what happens. But that is definitely going to be a very interesting situation here for the 49ers to monitor and look at. Another thing that's always interesting to monitor and look at, is the 49ers practice squad, because they're always making moves. Look at that segue. That was absolutely incredible.
Let me guess. There's a new linebacker in town.
There's definitely a new linebacker in town, and also a new wide receiver, because Devin Funchess, he's gone. Justin March, linebacker, he gone. Niners released both of them, and they signed Austin Mack and Curtis Robinson. Linebacker Curtis Robinson, wide receiver Austin Mack. So there you go.
Yeah,
they're gone.
They had the one guy that they had, Marsh, that they had brought up. Sure. He was going to be available if they needed him for the linebacker group. So then, once you start bringing these guys up, you only get a couple of times that you can have them, available. So you move on. But once again, the 49ers rotate through linebackers like crazy. The cool thing is the new guy, he's 6'3", he's 231 pounds. It seems like they have a prototype that they're looking for.
That's very true. It's true.
Yeah, what do you think of Mac?
Dang you, Jalen Hurts.
What do you think of Mac? I mean, he has some experience. Played for the New York Football Giants.
Yeah, it's a body. It's a body who's played in the league. So he's a professional. He's going to come in and work. He's going to give the Niners a good look. He's going to be able to replicate some T. Higgins type stuff.
Right. Well, could he also be the guy that's the fifth wide receiver and you don't have Craycraft? Because, you can only use him a couple of times.
Possibly.
So you're using having different wide receivers on the practice squad that you can bring up for that fifth receiver spot when needed.
Makes sense.
Until you get Mohamed Sanu. When is Mohamed Sanu going to be ready?
That's the real question. And because Kyle last week had no updates.
Yeah, I figured Mohamed Sanu would be back right now. Because it's been 4 or 5 weeks.
No, it hasn't. I don't think it has. Has it really been 4 or 5 weeks?
It feels like it's been at least 4 weeks.
It feels like a lot has happened during all of this.
Well, the whole season feels like it's been like 12 years, but
it truly has. It really has. So let's see. Sanu played in week 9, so he didn't play in week 10. He didn't play in week 11. He didn't play in week 12. So this would be week 4. So this is where his window can officially open up, is starting this week. Because he went on IR. So You're right. It's been a lot longer than I realized.
It's been 4 weeks since injury.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So
I wasn't wrong. Even though the season feels like 12 years.
It really does, man. This has been last year blew by. The 2020 campaign blew by, and that was obviously a lot of the reason was because the Niners were getting mollywopped all over the place.
It went from complete distraught to anger to who cares at this point? Dude's dead.
We went through all of all the stages of grief last year very quickly.
Yeah.
The 49ers this year, it was feeling that way, and then hope settled in, and then hope turned into production, and then production turned into we're doing it, right? Like it's happening, and then Sunday happened, and it's like, oh, well, some people immediately went back to despair, right? Death and despair, and meanwhile you and I are sitting here just kind of like, it's
a football game. We lost against a rival at their home, which we usually struggle at.
Kind of makes sense.
If we have
it's frustrating. Don't get me wrong.
If we have a duplicate performance against Cincinnati and don't bounce back, then you get worried a little bit. But if they bounce back and beat Cincinnati, that's a good football team up there. So I wouldn't be worried about that.
They're not a bad football team, man. That's for sure.
No, they're competing in a very tough AFC. So, and they play in an AFC North that's really rough. So
100%. They 100% do. But speaking of the 49ers bouncing back, right? They need to bounce back this week. They have to. And part of it is because of the playoff positioning and where the 49ers currently sit. Yes, and playoffs. Very important. Are you kidding me? I just hope we can win a game. No, the 49ers are in a really good spot right now. Despite the loss to Seattle, they're in an absolutely incredible spot. And a lot of people I know are sitting here going, well, how could you possibly say that after the loss? The 49ers are in 7th. They're in the 7th spot. They're tied with the team that's in the 6th spot, and they're only 2 games back of the Los Angeles Rams sitting there at 8-4. Because of that, because the Niners are just 2 games back, you have a situation right now where the Niners have a very favorable schedule. The Texans, Falcons, Rams, Bengals, Titans, all of them very winnable football games. You have 5 games on the schedule that the Niners could, in theory, win out. The teams behind them, the Philadelphia Eagles, at 6-7. 1 more loss than the 49ers, and the 49ers also hold a tiebreaker. So, in theory, you have a 2-game lead right now over the Philadelphia Eagles. Minnesota Vikings are at 5-7 after their horrendous loss to the Lions. You have the tiebreaker over them. You have essentially what is a 3-game lead over them.
Yeah.
And same thing with Carolina, who's just spiraling out of control. The Atlanta Falcons spiraling out of control. And the New Orleans Saints spiraling out of control. Yes, Seattle has climbed into that category of, I believe they're 5-7 now is what they are. No, they're 4-8. They're 4-8. Okay, so yeah, they're still leading.
They had going into Sunday's game, they had a 2% chance of making the playoffs.
So they have essentially just staved off elimination for now, but they still need to be able to compete and contend.
They have to win out.
Correct. They cannot afford to lose. The New Orleans Saints are not in that boat, the win out boat, but they have a very tough schedule. Dolphins, Panthers, not that bad. Jets, not that bad, but at the Bucks, at the Falcons. 3 of those games are going to be very tough for them to win, especially the way the Dolphins are playing, the way the Bucks are playing. The Atlanta Falcons have remaining on their schedule the Lions, very easy. Saints.
Wait, very easy. Lions just beat the Minnesota Vikings.
Touche.
Detroit's been playing everyone kind of tough.
They play everybody tough.
Yeah.
They really do, except for, I think, 1 game this year.
Yeah.
Except for that 1 game. Saints, Panthers, 49ers, Bills. 49ers and Bills, you have to imagine we're going to win those 2. We're going to win that game, and they're definitely going to lose to the Bills. So they're looking at 3 potential wins there. It puts them at 8 wins. 8 wins is what they're looking at, is what they could be ideally for them. Carolina, Falcons, Bills, Saints, and the Bucks twice. Not looking good for them. Their chances are not good. And then the Minnesota Vikings, Steelers, Rams, Packers, Bears twice. Now the Bears twice, favorable matchups for them, but at Green Bay is a different story than playing at home against the Packers. And they still have to play the Rams as well. That's not necessarily a good thing or a positive thing. And for some reason, the Steelers are one of those magical, mystical teams that play really well and then play really terribly. They do things like, tie with the Lions, but then beat the Ravens. So, I mean, there's that. So there's no guarantees with any of these teams. And the Philadelphia Eagles literally just have NFC East opponents. That's all they have left. Washington twice, the Cowboys, and the Giants.
Which is tough.
Not easy.
Yeah.
Playing nothing but divisional opponents to end the year. Who made that schedule, by the way? If you're the Philadelphia Eagles, who made that schedule? We're going to play the division all at the end of the year.
I like it.
I mean...
Not for the Eagles, but for everybody else. I like it.
Correct. I hate it for the Eagles. I love it for us. So the 49ers are in the driver's seat. They completely control their own destiny. They have one of the easier paths, I would say, to making the playoffs at this point, with the Texans, with the Falcons, with the Rams, with the Bengals, and the Titans.
Yeah,
all of them winnable.
Yeah, and I think the seeding doesn't really matter. Whether you're 5, 6, or 7.
No, you just want to get in.
You're just trying to get in. I mean, do you hope for a more favorable matchup in the first round? Yes, but you know what you have to do to go to the Super Bowl? You have to beat the teams that are available. So you just want to get into the dance and then hope that you're in a favorable matchup in a good situation and go out there and handle it.
Sure.
And it's a lot of things are going to change. There's going to be some movement. Right now, they would play the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau Field in the first week in the wild card, and the 49ers have had success as a franchise in that situation. They can go to Green Bay and win. Their playing style as well, where you're a run first football team, goes that way. But we don't know if Green Bay is going to be sitting at number 2, or if they're going to be sitting at number 3 or number 4. We don't know that yet. So there's a lot of moving parts, but I feel comfortable with where the 49ers are. I feel comfortable with the fact I think they can win 3 of the next 5 games and put themselves in a position to make sure they make the playoffs, because the teams behind them have to jump over them, and they held tiebreakers over them. So they're sitting in a good situation. They still play Atlanta, so they can knock Atlanta completely out of it.
Correct.
I wish they would have beat Seattle and put some distance between them and everybody else sitting in that 6th spot. Yeah, I would have loved that. They didn't do that, so now they got to take care of business another way. They got 5 games to do it, but I'm feeling pretty confident about the 49ers' chances to make the playoffs.
Look, it starts this weekend with the Bengals. If you take care of business against the Bengals, you move yourself to 7-6. You also put the Bengals. You can help your seeding and play spoiler to the Bengals as well, who just lost a game. Another loss for them starts creeping them slowly, dangerously close from being a team that was one of the hotter teams in football to a team that was going to be one of the hotter teams in football who may not make the playoffs. If you're the 49ers, there's double duty this weekend. Help secure your playoff spot, make it that much harder for everyone else around you, and play spoiler. Do a little bit of the spoiler. Bring that young team and Zach Taylor back down to earth, because they have been playing really, really well. They were down 24-0 against the Chargers. They came storming back 24-22 and then let it slip away with a lot of careless mistakes. So this is a team that's prone to make them. They can make them. And, they have a Bosa brother there in Los Angeles with the Chargers. The Niners have the other Bosa brother. Let's just do the same things. Let's get after Joe Burrow. Let's sack him. Let's make him, turn the ball over a bunch. Let's let him make mistakes. And let's make it very hard for Joe Mixon to get that run game going. Because if that happens, Ant, the 49ers can completely control this game from start to finish.
Yeah, they can. And I'm excited about the opportunities that are going to be coming up for the 49ers in the next few games. There's going to be opportunities to win and put some distance between them and everyone else in the playoff hunt. And I think these other teams are going to beat themselves up. They're all going to beat up each other. And that's a good situation, but you just got to make sure you win football games. If you don't deserve to make the playoffs. So I think they're going to get it done, though. I think they're going to go ahead and have a very good game and match up against Cincinnati. I think they can come away with a win, and if they do, I'm going to be even more confident in the playoff hunt than I was before that.
100%, man. It's going to be very exciting. This is exciting times for the 49ers, and we hope that you're jacked and excited about this weekend, because the faithful, you got to show up. You show up each and every week on the road. You do your thing. This is a week that's vitally important for the 49ers, and you got to keep that faith right now. I know things look a little down. I know the Niners are banged up, but the Niners show that they can win football games when they're banged up. They've also shown that they can compete. They can compete. They were banged up last week and almost beat the Seattle Seahawks. They made mistakes too and then shot themselves in their foot. So they weren't just banged up, and they were banged up and beat themselves up in the process and still almost came out of this thing with a big win. The 49ers are capable. This team can get it done with the pieces they have. As much as 49ers players are down, they're all looking at this team right now and looking at this last game and going, hey, you know what? We're missing a lot of pieces. Guys weren't 100% healthy. We lost some guys during the game as well. And despite all of that, we were one play away from at least tying, if not going for 2 and going for the win.
They were going for 2.
Oh, I believe that as well. Kyle I know Kyle mentioned it as well. I know he also tried to backtrack off that as well at the end and said, depending on the situation and what happened in that moment, I may not have. But I think Kyle felt that if you go down and score, you have the momentum. You're just going to go for 2 and win this thing and get out of here.
Especially when you're in Seattle. If you're at home, you play for the tie and play for overtime.
Because you got the momentum, you got the crowd.
Yeah, you're on the road. You go for the win. You go put them away. So I would have been very, very happy with that. I'm one of those aggressive people that went for 2 at that moment as well. You go do it. You go after. You go win the football game. Your team appreciates that too.
Agreed.
So go get it done. And I wish we would have got to see that. I wish we would have had that opportunity. Unfortunately, Carlos Dunlap made a great play, and he prevented what was a wide open Trent Sherfield touchdown from happening. And now you've got to respond, but you move on from that. You get past that. You had that happen. Now you're in the midst of another week, and you got to prepare for Cincinnati. You can't dwell on Seattle.
No,
move past it. Let them dwell in the self-pity of losing the rest of their season, because they're going to, and the 49ers are going to be just fine when they make the playoffs.
Agreed with you on that, Ant. Cutback crew, we hope you're able to move on from the Seattle loss as well. Start getting focused on the Cincinnati Bengals. And one of the best ways to do that is to be right here on the 49ers Cutback. We're not going to dwell. We're not going to soak and bathe in the negativity. No. We're going to turn our attention to the next opponent, what we got coming up, the positive things that came out of that game. And yes, criticize the things that are worth criticizing, including Jimmy Garoppolo making poor decisions, including, questionable play from some of the defensive players and what they were doing there, and definitely questionable special teams decisions, top to bottom, from our special teams coach in Hightower. We're keeping it real here. We're keeping it 100 on the 49ers Cutback, discussing this team the way it should be discussed, Ant, which is rationally and not so much emotionally. So we hope you're enjoying, and if you are, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that like button as well, and that notification bell. That way you're notified for all of the daily content we got coming your way.
Yeah, and if you missed Big Yikes, go ahead and hop over to Patreon and check that out. It's an enjoyable time. If you need a nice laugh, go ahead and do that. That's going to be fun, because even out of a loss and despair that is the Seahawks game, it gives us some greatness, some delightfulness as we get to laugh and have a good time in Big Yikes. So hop over there and check that out. It's going to be a fun week, Alex, as we prepare for the Bengals. I'm looking forward to getting back on track. And every time we play the Bengals, it always brings up great memories of beating the Bengals twice in Super Bowls.
Yep.
Ha, 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 Chris Collinsworth. You have to remember that every single time, because you lost twice.
2 times. And look, you could be a GOAT tier member on Patreon. You can be a regular Catch tier member on Patreon. It doesn't matter. We just appreciate the support, no matter how it is, whether it's a like, whether it's a share, whether it's a subscription, channel membership on YouTube, Patreon, whatever it is, Cutback crew. We appreciate the support. Thank you so much for helping really just keep this channel turning and keep this content flowing, because without your support, we couldn't do it.
Yeah, 100%. We need everybody's support, and everyone's been coming through, and I really appreciate it. I appreciate everyone that's been with us from the beginning, and everyone that's coming along now. We're all in this together. It's exciting times for the 49ers. We're in the playoff hunt. I think that's where we want to be. Is this the record we wanted? No, but do we want to be in the midst of everything going on? Absolutely. Let's see if they can get this thing going.
Look, I know you want to be in the driver's seat when it comes to the playoffs. You want to be, setting the pace and setting the tone for all the teams and getting them all scared. But sometimes, Ant, you can hijack the playoffs, right? You can just kind of hang on the back, playoff bus, catch a nice little drift, and then shoot out in front of it and catch everyone by surprise and take over the entire playoff picture. That's what we're hoping the 49ers are going to do, and they definitely have the pieces to do it and the coach to get it done. It's all about execution. It's all about getting them there. Hopefully, Ant, we see that this week against the Cincinnati Bengals. Cutback crew, we'll see you on the next one.
Slingshot, engaged.
Engaged, and shake and bake. You have to. You got a little bit of shake and bake. Shake and bake. Cutback crew, we'll see you on the next one, and until then, stay safe.
Remember, the right way
is always the 49ers way.